Seeing none, I will hear a motion to approve.
I will move.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Opposed? Hearing none, we will amend this as passed.
Thank you, and I'll start working on those changes and get them out to you.
Thank you, Chris,
Thanks, Brett.
and
You're welcome.
everyone else who helped with the forms. All right, Pat.
All right, short and sweet. As you know, a very important bill passed, 2192, that requires that in a misdemeanor eviction for the batterers, domestic violence, that they have to be analyzed for whether treatment is necessary. And so a group has gotten together, two representatives from the AG's office, the head of the statewide Domestic Violence Association, the head of Victim Services at the Department of Corrections, and myself, and Dorothy Halley, who gave us a presentation in our, general overview, to ask the question, would it be possible to get the legislature to actually fund the testing and perhaps even the service, because it's so similar to what we do in Senate Bill 123 for felony drug possession. And felony drug possession is an 18-month program. The batterers intervention programs are 6 months, substantially less expensive. And there's about 15 or 20 organizations around the state that do provide batterers intervention treatment. And the question is whether or not the legislature would be interested in making sure that this testing gets done, and then possibly that the treatment gets done as well. But at least start with that there is completion of the testing. The testing that was done last year in the Office of Judicial Administration provided the information to our group of that there had been 1,200 individuals tested in 24 at the misdemeanor level for a first-time domestic violence offense, and there were 1,000 tested in 25. And those are sort of the numbers we have. And what I thought was important to do today was to tell you that this was sort of going on and moving forward. And to see if anyone on the Sentencing Commission has, a concern, a question. The concept would be, the way this is organized, that unlike Senate Bill 123, the actual approval and licensing of the treatment centers would remain with the Attorney General's office, their Victim Services Division. But the payments and the administration of a program to either pay for just the testing or to pay for the testing and the treatment would be administered like Senate Bill 123 through the Sentencing Commission. And I don't know if the legislature is going to be interested or agree to it. As you know, in House Bill 2192, they changed the order of business for people who have a conviction of battery, and indicated that they must be tested and must go into treatment. But whether or not those folks can afford and whether or not that will come to pass is difficult to know, but certainly they'd like to consider the possibility of the legislature aiding it with some funding. So, but if anybody on the Sentencing Commission has concern, I sure wish they would contact me and let me know, what the concerns are. If anybody has something now that they'd like to add or ask. As I say, this is sort of very early stages. It's on the heels of the passage of that legislation that requires that there be the testing. And it's a look of, could we just run this thing the way we run 123 and give that kind of protection that we give for felony drug users? Could we give that kind of protection to the victims of domestic violence? So that's kind of what's cooking. If anybody has a comment or wants to let me know of something I should follow up with or consider, I'm all ears.
I would just say that is by far the number one not deterrent, but issue that our clients have, right? They can't afford it, and it's extremely expensive to do 26 weeks of treatment, let alone the evaluations. And if we're here trying to stop people from committing offenses in the future, going to prison, it needs to start at the misdemeanor. Because we by far have more misdemeanor domestic batteries than we do felonies. And you either get a serious domestic battery or you have 3 misdemeanors before you get a felony. And if we can stop it at the earlier stages, it totally makes sense. I know there would be nobody in court services that would complain other than the work itself and getting it done. But to have a program like this would be wonderful if we're looking at stopping recidivism, or at least helping with it.
My question would be, Pat, you know how one of the bottom line is, do you have any idea, just based on current census, of what that fiscal note would look like approximately? I know it's going to fluctuate depending,
Sure,
season,
sure.
but just to get us started.
Last year, there were 1,000, and the cost for the initial testing would probably put it at, a couple $100,000. The 26-week course would probably be, to do it all, would be probably about $1 million, $1.2 million. So we're not, Senate Bill 123 is about $3 million a year. Wouldn't you say, Scott?
No, it's
No.
about,
How much?
it's about 14.
14 million?
Yes.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, but we don't even have that big a budget for the sentencing commission.
We do. We have a $16 million budget.
Oops. Hey, I missed that
Still
part.
recording.
Okay, yeah,
It's
no,
all
I
passed.
think we're looking at
Separate
a million and a half or so for the treatment, and what I'm basing that on is that there were 1,000 cases, your office, Spence, put the numbers together. It was 1,200 cases in 25 and 1,000 convictions in 2020. In 25 and 1,224 it went down. But it costs between $1,000 and $2,000 for the 24-week treatment, 24, 25, 26-week treatment. And really the difference is the ones in the bigger metropolitan area charge more, and the ones in the more rural areas charge less, but 1,000. So if you were to take $1,500 and add that for 1,000 cases, you'd be at $1.5 million for the treatment. The testing, I haven't really got a good number, the exact for the cost of the testing, but call it $100.
It's more.
Yeah.
Maybe
It's more.
it's, what would you put it
So
at?
I would say 3,
300?
yeah,
300?
at least.
Okay, and there were 1,000 cases in 25. So that's 300,000.
Or does that number contemplate the domestic batteries that are, within a felony conviction case, or are those just only misdemeanor conviction?
We really were looking at first time misdemeanor. That's really what this is about.
The other issue.
Stop them early on is the concept.
The other issue, and I think like Senate Bill 123 has helped with having more providers. You look at some of the areas, our providers, it's very, we don't have providers locally. So there's not options to do virtually, which a lot are driving 2-3 counties away to do treatment every week. And so, and I would hope that if we have a program, we could get more providers online, that issue.
So yeah, and so this is really at beginning stages of discussion, but it does have the interest of the Attorney General's office. It has the interest of the Domestic Violence Statewide Organization, at the Department of Corrections. And so I do think it's something that is going to come forward. There are a couple of legislators, including the one I spoke to most recently was Schlingensiepen, who wants me to immediately get a bill drafted. And under his authority, he said, call up the revisers. And I said, well, this is still in the beginning stages of getting the support for it. But anyway, it seemed like a natural to look at this for the Sentencing Commission, given the success we have had for Senate Bill 123, and whether or not we can follow on with the matters and domestic violence. So please let me know if you have any comments or concerns, or, you know, if you need information provided.
And this group, you're meeting when?
Well, we're gonna have a meeting after this. We'll meet in June, but the date isn't fixed at this point. And I was hoping that maybe in our September annual retreat, at least a portion of it might be a real update, because that would be shortly before legislation would actually be filed. You know, where we could really see and have what the course of this is developed into.
All right, so have people email you or contact you in some way if they have comments?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, please.
All right, thank you. Right, at this time, we would like to go into executive session.
Make the motion.
I would like, I would take a motion to move into executive session.
For how long?
And
10 minutes.
does it speak to a particular area?
Yes, it would. We're talking about a bonus for executive director.
And who might be able to stay? And because it would go offline, I guess you'll go offline, but
Yes,
for what the period of time?
we'll go offline and stop recording for a period of 10 minutes. Only the executive members can stay in for that conversation. And so I would take a motion for that.
Just for clarity, point of information, please, Judge. How do we handle those that are joining us by Zoom?
They would, the people who are not allowed into the executive session would be put into a waiting room?
Yeah.
Yes, and the other members would be allowed to stay.
Thank you.
I'll move.
Second.
In favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I will ask that those members who are on the Zoom, who cannot stay in the executive session, be put into a waiting room for a period of 10 minutes. It's now 3:02. You have the